Welcome back to video number 3 where we talk about PEMF and diseases. And I'll go through all of those in a lot detail, so you don't only learn about PEMF, you will also learn how we approach each of those diseases and how we look at them individually. Now, the first one, which is probably the most important, is immune stimulation. You know, immune system is defending you against everything. It defends you against cancer, it defends you against viruses and bacteria and infections and all sorts of injuries. Your immune system is probably the most important thing in your body. And there's many different forms, like you have many different types of neutrophils and macrophages and dendritic cells and follicular dendritic cells. These are the super prime soldiers, these are the Marines, and these are the standard or very aggressive frontline army. So they all have functions. They cause apoptosis, anti-inflammatory, then they release immune neutrophils. So it's like they all have a slightly different job. But if they look like this, and they're in a body that is completely exhausted, and all of those soldiers are hardly able to even hold a weapon, or they're completely overwhelmed, they won't work. So what we want is we want them full on active, full on super marine soldiers, and that's what PEMF actually does. Now this was a blood taken, and you can see the white blood cell here. You see it's touching the cell, touching this one, touching that one, going over to this one. Now it goes in between and checks through, and now it touches all of those cells, chasing something, and off. So I'll rewind that. So it's like those cells are cleaning up and they check everything on their way. And that's quite fascinating. This is after a 15-minute activation during one of our workshops. We always take blood before, and then we have a 15-minute treatment, 20-minute treatment, and then we take the blood after. And the effects that you see afterwards are phenomenal. Now, this is a white blood cell that is doing chasing bacteria, and you can see it could have had the choice of which one, but it's targeted on that one, and it's chasing it through the blood until it has it. And that's what happens in your system all the time. You have 200 billion of those cells that are working for you, cleaning up, tidying up, see, got it now, and that are working for you. So they need to be in top shape. They need to be fully equipped. And that's what PEMF does. It activates those cells into full gear. PEMF and inflammation. See what happens when you have an infection. And this is pretty much what we just saw here with the bacterium. You have an invader here. You have an infection, you have a virus, you have a bacterium, you have a splinter, you have an injury. Something that shouldn't be there. And your system is very clever, says, ooh, heat up that area, dilate all the blood vessels so that we get more blood to that area, and then it turns hot. A lot of people then put ice on and stop the healing process. No, we don't do that. We keep it hot because that's then causing an extreme blood flow, and thousands of those immune cells are traveling here and starting to repair, clean up, repair everything, and restore a healthy tissue again. So increased activities of neutrophils, lymphocytes, macrophages, all responsible to repair that. Now let's look at inflammation, what causes inflammation. And this is where, this is a shot out of our app from the phone. And what we do is we look here for inflammation, causes of inflammation, and then we know viruses cause inflammation. Ooh, immune system activated, takes care. Bacteria cause inflammation. Ooh, activated. And then we have down here parasites. Ooh, activated system takes care of it. Now, if you have the right nutritional factors and the right supplementation, all of a sudden everything is cool and they can deal with the invader and get rid of it. Same thing, if you have heat, and that's why cancer creates cancer cells which are responsive to heat. As soon as they get into a hot area, fever, and they are flagged with heat shock proteins, as soon as they have those proteins, they become visible to your immune system. So all of a sudden your immune system can deal with the cancer. And that's why all inflammation is dealt with beautifully with your immune system. But we also know that Heavy metal toxicity causes inflammation. So by detoxifying and rattling our cells that they detoxify well, we increase that effect manifold. One treatment and it's all detoxified? No, this is a week-long process of 3 times a week minimum treatment where you then rattle loose, pull out, rattle loose, pull out. And it's really something you need to do for a longer period. But if you do it without the PMF, it's going to take forever. So detoxification and deficiencies, we know the same thing. As soon as our sodium ion channels and potassium channels all are cleared, nutrients go into the cell has full-on energy production and can work again. And that's also using for redifferentiation, using or returning an inflamed or unhealthy cell back into a healthy cell. So that's taking care of that. And then we know that when we take the frequencies down and we bring the body back to a quiet mind, we reduce stress and trauma. So these are the reasons why PMF would actually help with inflammation. And it's pretty obvious that it does. PMF in cancer is very similar. We have many reasons for cancer to be. Now, this is my immune cell, policeman, sleeping, snoring. And that can be because you're too tired, you're too acidic, you have DNA impairments, you have too much alcohol, you have high toxicity, you have low oxygen. All of that will make this little man here sleep, so they won't deal with any of those cancer cells. Now again, if we use PMF, we actually change deficiencies, we change infections, we increase our hormone productivity or balance it out, we decrease our inflammation, we oxygenate the body and reduce anaerobic conditions, we reduce toxicity, we induce deep healthy sleep, and we reduce stress. What happens? Cancer goes automatically away once you create that environment. Now, it won't have a big effect on trauma or acidity from your food. If you still eat lots of sweets, it won't change. If you drink alcohol, it won't change. If you eat lots of sugar, you still stay acidic and your immune system sleeps. So it won't do everything, but it will do quite a lot. So if you then add a healthy diet to it, and you reduce the unhealthy parts of your life, all of a sudden PMF and lifestyle will do a massive job, and that's what we see. But you know that when you use the big device, the massive ringer device, the PMT, then you can actually treat, and Dr. Rao explains it in our video quite well, cancer cells directly. And let me explain that to you in a simple form. When healthy cells are produced, you've seen that the membrane of a healthy cell is quite complex. Let me just go back here. It's very complex. It takes a lot of time so that all the water molecules can go in and out, carbon dioxide and oxygen go in, sodium, potassium channels, and they have 3, 4, 5 glucose receptors and many others. So balanced nutrition. Whereas if we look at a cancer cell, we usually have, if we find it back, we don't find it, here we are. If we have a cancer cell, they have mostly glucose receptors, 80 compared to 5, and hardly any of the others. They don't need potassium and magnesium and all of that because they ferment the food. It's a fermentation process which produces massive amounts of lactic acid, but it's not a digestion. They don't produce energy, they absorb and suck it away and make you tired. So that's why cancer cells have a very brittle, very fragile membrane. And we said if you put heat into a body, you create heat shock proteins at the surface, they are weakened. And now take your PMF and bombard them with massive magnetic waves. All of a sudden they disintegrate. A cancer cell can usually not hold more than 30 to 40 millivolt of energy, whereas a healthy cell goes up to 80, 90. So as soon as you treat them with very severe, pulses, then cancer cells disintegrate. And that's what they do at the clinic. They have very particular local areas with the paddle or with the loop or with the little butterfly where they treat directly over the liver, directly over breast cancer, and through that weaken those cells, then combine that with an IV treatment, stronger absorption. They combine that with detoxification. We know cancer cells have lots of toxins. So all those systems are activated, and therefore it's actually used in Europe as a full-on cancer treatment. And I have quite a few guys, I have to say that, they are the laziest. Females seem to comply with diet a lot easier. Guys, they all, moan and groan, and they rather use electronic gadgets or electric gadgets. And I have a lot of clients that bought the PMT. They have it in the office when they sit at their office desk and just turn it on now and then and go bang, bang, bang and treat the prostate. And they do really well with it. So it has a massive effect. I said without changing diet, without changing some of the other things, it won't work. But if you combine it, it's a beautiful adjunct to all your other efforts. Wound healing, I won't go into too much. Dr. Finn Scott Anderson done a really good job with therapies, and there is on PubMed some research studies where it shows that it's massively increased with targeted PEMF, which means whether you take that little coil, where is it? I need to show you the coil, which we call that little green cushion here. That's the coil. It has a little round loop inside, and you put that as a targeted treatment, or you take the big ringer device with the loop here and put that to an area, and then you realize that wound healing is drastically increased with targeted PEMF. So strong power directly into the wound. You stimulate your immune system, you stimulate your repair functions, and wound healing is massively expedited. PEMF and depression is a completely different approach. And again, let me show you, we've put here together what causes depression. Imbalance in neurotransmitters and nutritional deficiencies, allergies, and we've covered in our training program all the details, what kind of nutrition is directly linked. But for this purpose, I would just like to keep it very, at the surface, because otherwise we'll sit here for 3 hours. Nutritional deficiencies are taken care of by PEMF, by increased nutritional uptake. Also, toxicity is flushed out, and therefore nutrition can be absorbed into the cell more effectively. Neurotransmitter, the electrical currency that travels between your nerve cells, is greatly enhanced. Congested liver and liver disease, where it really flushes out toxins and helps with detoxification, is dramatically increased. Exercise, jumping, vibrational energy is all to do with increasing that excited energetic state in your body and to move toxins. Now that's happening automatically with PEMF too. You flush out huge amounts of toxins and transport them through your system. Toxins, we said already. Then we have stress, low frequencies, reducing stress, helping with brain. And then we have deficiencies in malnutrition, deficiencies in melatonin, which is then again something to do with your hormone glands that are activated. And I've put a question mark here. There is no research studies, but we know that they all use it for adrenal repair, for adrenal activation, for thyroid activation, because it stimulates that organ to work better. And you need a very gentle treatment for your hormone glands. It's not like the Big Bang. You can use it very gently with the little Curatron device, and all of a sudden you have those results. Okay? So depression is actually FDA approved, and you can see in a very short time, Dr. Pavluk has that on his website, and he explained it in his interview with me, within a very short treatment, 20 minutes, you have 10% improved mood, and you can see that. People relax on that machine, they start to smile, they get energy back into life, and that's what we saw in that retirement village. It's phenomenal results, and that's why depression is well treated with it, and has, as I said just before, now FDA approval for deep-rooted depression. You can use it. Okay, as a practitioner, don't sell treatments for depression if you just share the device with friends. Just tell them to watch this video and then you're out of the loop. Okay, osteoporosis. This is what we started with right in the beginning with the dinosaurs, and it actually shows. If you have bone before and after, you can see the treatment, how fast it responds. Osteoporosis, really fine ligament, and then afterwards super dense. And there is many clinics who use it directly here with a rope, where the leg was broken, over the arm, where they regrow muscle mass and stimulate bone growth. In Switzerland, Dr. Rao has 6 or 7 PEMF devices directly for bone growth and re-establishing where you had cavitations, where the bone mass has been eaten off by bacteria. So they treat that with ozone and then with lactic acid, and then with targeted PEMF treatment to actually regrow your bone in that area so that when you do an implant that it holds. And I'm living proof that it works. Osteoporosis, there's many reasons. Diet, it won't change your diet when you use PEMF, but it might bring some clarity because your mind clears up from heavy metals. And all of a sudden you can think, and then you can start to decide to change your diet. Medication, you can't change your medication excess, except you start, reducing it and talk to your doctor. But all of those steroids and anti-reflux and whatever, they cause osteoporosis. So be careful when you use them, because PEMF might repair a bit, but if you still destroy at the same time, you might have a stagnation, but not an improvement. Nutrient uptake is pretty strong, we know that. Then we have poisoning, heavy metal detox is very strong. And then we have jumping, running, and defense as well. What we found as well is that hormone, especially when you look at treatments in the root chakra, when you sit on the loop or you sit on the cushion, that it actually starts to increase your estrogen levels and your sex hormones and testosterone for males. So it brings back. And we know that estrogen is one of the leading causes of osteoporosis. So as soon as your sex hormones are activated again and you find your life back with more libido, all of a sudden your osteoporosis reduces. Plus you have an added benefit of something really joyful in life. So I would say this is one of the main reasons you need to have it. Could only be a male who says that, right? Okay, PEMF and sleep. I think we've covered that to a great degree, but I would like to mention with you something that we offer as a special add-on. When you buy the PEMF machine from us, you get the option to buy a software with it, and that software allows you to then adjust frequency. So you could offer your clients a pure delta wave treatment, from 1 to 4, going up to 8 hertz, and you just pendle in that frame, go up and down to really help with nerve repair, with damaged nerves. How do you call it? Okay, just left my mind. We'll come back soon. And then you can help them there. If you want to increase sleep pattern or osteoporosis, you would go into those cycles. If you want to stimulate that detox, you can do that. And you can program intensity, you can program time, and the frequency in that separate software. And it works on PC, it works on Mac, so it's a really beautiful thing. And it's just a small investment to add that and then start working with it. We do a lot of work with sleep clinics and with sleep experts, and we notice that all those REM cycles and all the different sleep cycles with those theta waves and delta waves can be changed drastically as soon as you start using PEMF in the right way. And instead of waking up 7 times a night and reducing all your sleep pattern, with that, you bring that down drastically and bring it really so that you go into that light sleep and then deep sleep and increase the deep sleep manifold. As I said before, TH Pro, an alternative, if you can't afford a PEMF machine, does the same with light and sound, whereas this does it with a magnetic field. Okay? So, I already spoke about degenerative disease, but I would like to mention here with incontinence, You can see here in the back, where the poo comes out, there's muscles. It's a muscle ring. In the same way, it's here muscles that hold tight. Now with age, the belly sinks down and hangs, and then you have that increased pressure and weight onto your bladder, and through that you have all sorts of problems with incontinence. Now what you do with these devices, when you have that zap, like that real contraction where your muscles contract, you actually build up muscle mass. And that's what they do when you had a broken arm, broken bone, broken leg. You wrap around the loop and then you build up muscle mass quite fast. And it's very deep, it's very intense. Plus, due to the increased oxygen, due to the increased detoxification, due to the increased energy levels, it's like a rejuvenation process. And that's what we found. There are several clinics who use the PMT 120 as an incontinence treatment. So the ladies come in, they sit on the device, they crank it up, and they go, hoo, hoo. It's really kind of funny. You see those jumping ladies in the chairs, because it's kind of a real intense feeling. But it increases libido, it decreases incontinence in a very, very short time. And let me just go very short. Degenerative diseases are caused by gut health. Well, as I said, without changing your diet, you won't do a lot. But inflammation, we learned, PMF is very helpful. Deficiencies, it's extremely helpful with uptake of nutrients. It's clearing out infections, it's clearing out toxicity. It's very powerful in systemic health, reactivating organs and stimulating organs. Hormone glands are reactivated. For cancer treatments, only the big one really effective as destructive directly to cancer cells. And then we have psychological health as well. And just this alone, if we look at all the different things that this machine, both of them, whether it's the oscillating or the big PMT, which has here that added benefit, it's actually a mandatory treatment. And that's why all our coaching clients have one. And we haven't received a single one back. Like the Sonar Dome, I have to admit, we always have a used one for sale. And they exchange hands because people are not quite that dedicated to pull through. A PMF device never comes back. We had not a single one used for sale, and we didn't have any returns or any kind of complaints. Actually, only raving results. And that's why we stick with what we have, because the feedback is so phenomenal so far over many years now that we don't want to change. All right, and now we go into the next video where you get your special expert discount and where we discover how to find the right device for you and how to make money with PMF and question and answer.